Guyanese, glad to be here again with you. So like I promised, and these are Guyanese stories right here, and I will be doing a few of them, and these are on agriculture, mostly rice, and rice kind of politics, let's say from the 60s to present day. And there is politics in rice, trust me, and a lot of it. And there always has been. And the guy that really gets hurt in the process, rice politics, it's the farmers themselves. Do they know it? Maybe. Maybe they do and maybe they don't. But that's why I'm here to tell you. So last time we had this discussion, that was a few days ago, I recognize the problems we had starting out. Maybe this around the 70s, 80s, that kind of thing. What I didn't mention is that when these people made their systems, and I'm thinking at this point in time, rice farming communities, those drainage, irrigation structures and everything, they always worked perfectly. And what we recognize is that because of mismanagement, that's the last video, because of mismanagement on the Burnham administration, farmers suffered a lot. The economy suffered. I'll tell you something. The economy suffered to a place where I saw with my own eyes in a rice mill in 49 village. And it was me, my neighbor. He's an old man. He died now. And he had 5 bags of rice on his donkey cart. And he was taking it home. He's probably going to sell a few bags to his neighbors. Or give a few bags to other farmers, and when they grind, then they'd give him back, over time. There's a village arrangement kind of thing. I don't remember the name of this guy, but he was popular in those days. I think he lived in 53, and a name comes to mind, Duncan. I don't remember, but people my age, older than me, would remember. And yes, they came in their truck and they seized the man's rice. 5 bags of rice. And in those days, rice was 180 pounds per bag. So, and that is a little bit of things that happened to rice farmers in those days. So there's a process of, like I told you. So I want to mention here that when the British did all these systems, on the Cherry, of course, Blackbush Boulder, and before that it was 5274, those systems. When them take up them second their plan and so on. Yeah. So everything worked perfectly. The cokers worked. The quantity, the volume of water, they catered for the highest rainfalls. And everything worked seamlessly in those days when they were and the structures of maintenance, up to this day, we don't have that. It was law, and it was enforced by rangers in those days, in Blackbush in 5274, and those areas I know about, so I talk about them. It was enforced by law. Your rangers had the authority to stop you in your tracks if you're traveling to the back dam when it was not permitted. You're not going to destroy the infrastructure. You're going to wait until they gave access. And you're not going to take a shovel and cut across a drain because you feel like it. No. And those laws, the rangers today don't have the powers like the rangers of the 60s. And that is why it was a lot less effort to farm rice in those days. You remember we had gravity flow water? Water came and you just go there at a certain time and you open your cut and water just flow into your lands. Why are we today, I'm asking this question, why are we today unable to have what rice started with and worked for many years until it disintegrated in Burnham time? Why are we not today, farmers, I'm asking you, why are we not today benefiting or getting that thing? Even though our government is telling you how we are doing great. We are doing great with the additional cost of hurting dams, making them every crop after rain season, making a mess of them, making little tractors not survive in the industry anymore. It's a whole lot of thoughtlessness. And then we have to fetch pumps and lift water from the canals. It's so highly competitive. It's like we're brainless. In any civilized environment, I'm telling you, gravity flow is not something that is impossible. It is something that is very, very possible. Anytime. But you have to have the will of the farmers. But by now, the farmers don't even know what is gravity flow. They don't understand that concept anymore. Because everything is messed up. And there's nobody with a wherewithal to fix it. Especially not your government. They're going to do everything. For drainage, I'm looking at them. They're just building new drains. They're not even doing a great job with the ones they have. They're spraying them. The land is falling into the canals all the time. Because if you spray the land with glyphosate, which is the practice of this day and age, then the land falls in, the canal lifts up, it impedes flow, water flow. But because there's money now, you just go and dig it back up, man. So I don't think there's a whole lot of respect for what is, and or what should be actually. Let's talk a little bit about. So we recognize that there was seamlessness in rice farming in those days. It was effortless. All you had to do was farm your rice, carry your manure, shyam, and that was that. Spray for your bugs and your Gandhi and whatever else. But other than that, rice farming was seamless, and that is the 60s. Then we had this disintegration during the Burnham time, and when everybody struggled and get away from Guyana, all kinds of things. But those days were very harsh for Indian rice farmers. Very, very harsh. And many of them escaped the country. And even though rice farming was supposed to be something profitable, it wasn't then. So you have to have everything in place. Now, the last time I had this discussion on that whole thing there, it was concerning, so I'm doing this time. I'm supposed to do like 15 minutes, and I'm looking at my time, and I'm doing okay. So the last time we had this discussion on this entire, so it's from the 60s to present day. So that's spanning almost, how much, 80 years? 80 years of rice farming. And what happened and how government impacts rice farming. Today, we still have, in Guyana, a system where we have pumps. lifting water from the Kanshi Creek, and in the rest of Guyana, many other main irrigation sources, maybe the Abari, in West Berbice, the Abari River, whichever river is closest. In the, I heard about, and there, I don't know so much about the Essequibo and all those other areas, but it's the same thing, having big pumps lifting water. You know what happens? You know why farmers cannot have irrigation, gravity flow in irrigation up to this day? Because there will never be enough fuel to steal. That is the reality. If you give, let's say they take 90,000 gallons of fuel for a crop, for a pump. One day somebody in this new dispensation, one day some government person is going to tell you that the fuel required to run those pumps is half or less than the amount that is being supplied to those pumps. So what happens to this fuel? It disappears. There's no integrity. And what I'm trying to say here is that the corruption has not eluded rice farming. It is in the heart of rice farming, but how many people see it? But they have been seeing it for so long that it doesn't bother them anymore. The corruption. When that started? So it started in the years where our money devalued. After the 60s and the 70s, many things start going south. Remember, money was scarce. Burnham, I don't know, he wasn't doing good at all. We took the country from the British. We were touting independence and all that. But we screw everything up from that day. Because under the British, we had gravity flow water. Ask any old man that you know that was in the rice farming industry. Yes, we had gravity flow water. Rice farming was simple and seamless. Today it's a lot of work, a lot of risk. And all we're doing is doing the same things that we're doing. In those days, I'm going to tell you one other little secret. In those days, all those cokers, salt water used to go right through them on high tides and come back right out on high tides. But then, during that same Burnham era, we had places like Blackbush Road that would never be fixed because that's a milking cow for contractors. You just fix it and fix it and fix it. Every 2 years you fix it. You make a brand new road every 2 years. And it's gonna happen. Because there are people who farm on the sides of the road, and they're gonna continue farming on the sides of the road with no respect for what level of erosion may be caused, with no like management, you know. And that's the disrespect or the carelessness our government have for spending our money. Anyways, so I told you about that fuel thing there. And these are all kind of stories that I remember growing up and living through it and seeing and observing. And there's nothing wrong with telling stories. Especially when you recognize that it's your governments that create all these problems, but you can't see it. And then we came out of that stage, and I used to work in those days in local government administration. That's when PPP came into power, and everything was supposed to get better, you know. And yes, things did get better, and they're better today. But few things need to happen. One, contractors need to get money continuously because there's money to share. Does it really ever help with, we have plenty new pumps and all kinds of things, but the systems that were there were in place that worked seamlessly. They're not there anymore. It's all done. It's like that whole the way things happened. For example, the outfall channels that drain rice farmlands. Farmers used to go there with shovels after a high tide, operate the coca in such a way so that if there is any little, blockage in the channel, they would go there with shovels and make a path, and then the water would come erode it, and that would be perfect for drainage again. So I'll tell you one story. So when I was overseer for 5274, I took 5 guys. I studied the entire thing, I looked at how water works and how. So there's sand that comes into these channels, and it builds up a few feet, like 3-4 feet, and it blocks water from the back coming in. And that's all because these channels are not kept open because of the way they were designed to keep open. So I took these guys, and that was like 52 outfall channel, 52 village. Anybody who knows 52 village, that area? And I took these guys, and 5 guys with rakes and shovels. That's all. And it took them 2 hours to walk from the coker. It's about half a mile. So they all started with a little bit of water coming from the channel, and they started with 1 rake, and they all went with a rake behind each other, and they did that back and forth for 2 hours, and the entire channel was open. And a few days after, the rain came, and I remember this man Winston Samuels coming and telling me, "Bechu, you did a great job." And Winston Samuels is a man from 51 Village, and he had great experience in drainage irrigation. He was a drainage irrigation ranger, and he would actually, recognize what I'm saying here. But I'm trying to wrap up. All I'm saying is that without we're saying that we're doing a great job with agriculture, it's for the people who don't know. Nothing still works. The farmers know that. Irrigation is still not where it should be. The pumps still don't work as they should. And of course, they put new pumps. One time, I heard Glenn Lal saying, Kaisher News actually, they went to see some pumps being put down, and they know the prices were like $500 million for these pumps, just for the pump, 500 million. Yeah. And when they went and they saw the pumps were cheaper pumps that were put in there. But the prices, and that's another way of corruption. So now you buy a cheaper pump, it doesn't have what it takes to continue for the time. But these are all ways that governments steal your money. And how it impacts farmers. Then the pumps don't work properly, then you can't push it to the revs, and even if you push it to the revs, it doesn't have the capacity to give you the water. And all these things your politicians do to you. continuously, but you don't realize it because you're focused on planting your rice and getting a daily bread. And then they give you the bare minimum. So when they give you that overpriced pump, they rob you because they take taxpayers' money and they pay it into a contractor, and then the contractor gives some government official half of it. And it's the process, and it's the way the PPP administration is working today. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that it was seamless yesterday in the 60s. Borna messed it up, God rest his soul, but we are not doing any better. All we're doing is just digging and digging up the whole place. But we're still not going to get irrigation water the way it should be or the way it used to be. So it was like, so we have distribution channels and all that. We'd give one half of the area the water, and then wait in 2 weeks' time we give the other half. And then we rotate that. So farmers don't feel that, one side benefits every time more than the other side, because going early into the rice crop is very important. So I'm saying all that. All I'm saying is your infrastructure is still not going to benefit you when the going gets rough. And if you go back to where it was previously, in the 60s, the way it was designed, it would be all good. But it's so much for corruption. I'm going to do a next video. My time is up. And but I'm going to tell you in the next video about how water users was created, the purpose it was created for, and the slush money that goes into the pockets of water users people, which are all PPP activists. All of them PPP activists. Not because they want to be, but they choose, PPP choose all these simple minds all over the place. The ones that can take and give back to PPP. And so the Ministry of Agriculture right now supplies money to all these entities, there's these water users association where this rice farming happen, and the slush money goes to bless these favorites of the PPP, and that is going to continue to happen. And the farmers, whatever benefits you're getting, you tell me, you can mention it here. Mention it anywhere. I'm happy. I'd like to see your comments though. So I'm gonna finish up. I do have a lot of other stuff I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna continue this thing about rice farming and how it is. And I'm gonna tell you here right now that if you think it's seamless, you ask your millers what happens when they look for a license to export their rice, and how it's like so much levels of taxation. And in most of these levels, you have to pay the person, not the system. That's how it is. Remember what Muhammad said? He said Ali told him, pay 25 million, not 50 million. But because of split up, he's got to pay, I don't know how much billion more. Thank you, guys. You have a beautiful rest of the day. God bless.